Yes, July 6, 1961, that's when I published the first issue of Mersey Beat. It's almost 50 years ago. I created the name Mersey Beat because I wanted to cover the whole of Merseyside. And I imagine a picture of a policeman walking the entire Merseyside area, Southport, New Brighton, Widnes, Runcorn, all that, and that's how the name Mersey Beat came about. It wasn't any relation to the music at all, it was just the area I was covering. And what I'd started to do, like bands in the park, Philharmonic Hall, open air theatre, guitar contest at Crane Theatre, the idea was to cover all the music that was happening on Merseyside, which is why I call it What's On Merseyside, and I think it was one of the first ever What's Ons. Also, since Virginia and I, Virginia, my girlfriend, ran the newspaper, the two of us didn't have much money. I was still at the art college, and so we borrowed £50 to publish the newspaper, and we had to borrow a block from the Widnes Weekly News to put on our front cover, and it's a picture of two of the girls from the Jacaranda Coffee Bar at a signing with Gene Vincent. I also did an innovation by doing free adverts at the side of the name for various charities, such as the British Union for the Abolition of Vivisection and the National Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Children. I like putting free charity adverts there as some sort of contribution. And as we opened it up, we have the story by John Lennon about his story of the Beatles. Since we'd been to college together, and they were more or less our art college band, I commissioned John to write the story of the group for me, because they were the group I was really going to promote most in Mersey Beat. And this is the one in which he wrote, "A man came down in a flaming pie." And years later, Paul would call me because he was going to use that article as the inspiration for his album Flaming Pie. John gave me a couple of scraps of paper. He had no name for it at the time, so I called it, being a short diversion on the dubious origins of Beatles, translated from the John Lennon. Then we had articles on places like the Black Cat Club, and that was a country music club, because Liverpool had more country music bands than anywhere in Europe, which is why it was called the Nashville of the North. The Big Three, the Undertakers, were other great groups I wrote about. And incidentally, on page 4, a friend of mine, Scylla, who was singing with local bands, and we called her Swinging Scylla. And I asked Scylla to write me a fashion column, and also I wanted to write about Scylla in the first issue, so I was working all kinds of hours trying to get the paper done on time, because I was doing the advertising, circulation, the writing, the design, dealing with the printers. And so I was in the early hours of the morning doing the piece on Scylla, and I thought, a name is a colour, what is it? And I thought Scylla Black, but in actual fact the name was Scylla White, not Scylla Black. But I put Scylla Black is a Liverpool girl who was starting on the road to fame. And Scylla came in the office and said, her dad was all upset because her name's Scylla White, but she said she liked the name. I'd made a mistake on so much that she decided to call herself Scylla Black for good. And I noticed Virginia used to do this gossip column, and I noticed in the very first issue she has, the Beatles turned down an offer from a millionaire to play in Spanish clubs. I wonder what that was, and that millionaire must have missed out. We also have a big feature on the Cavern, and this was the club that was to change everything, wasn't it? And also the Cavern was one of our best advertisers and took out a big advert in the first issue.